Next project here is going to be to restore this beautiful deltatone guitar. Guitar had an accident, fell off its stand somewhere. Picked this up off of eBay. Very similar in style in terms of what I like to do. It's a Les Paul and has some tele elements. So I'm going to glue it back up here and get it all set. I'm going to use a number of clamps here and these special StewMac fretboard clamps that I got. These are really helpful in gluing a fretboard back on. Then I'm going to use some Gorilla Glue here because it's going to expand in the joint and kind of fill some of the holes that are going to be left from the finish checking. So with Gorilla Glue, the first thing we're going to do is spray. That's what the directions say. You just want a light mist of water. I'm going to apply it on here. I'm going to get it all over where it's cracked and then where it goes on the fretboard. Here I'm just slowly squeezing it out and kind of getting it all over the place. Gonna get this gift card and spread it out, make sure it's all even, all the nooks and crannies. And then a couple sections here, it was loose, the fretboard going all the way up. So I'm gonna take this card and shove the glue down in there, make sure it glues everything. And the gift card is just kind of pushing the glue down into the joint. So we're going to pop it on. Fits nicely, and I'm going to go with one clamp at first and make sure that it's sitting correctly. We can make some slight adjustments with only one clamp on. Going to make sure it lines up correctly. Going to get that one clamp. Clamp it down. Make sure everything's all lined up properly. Tighten it down and then go ahead and add the second clamp here. I'm going from both sides here, so I'm not putting any weight on that joint. Make sure that I'm not getting any pulling or pressing. That's why I stood the guitar on its side. Then we're going to add the fretboard clamps from StewMac. This is really going to pull that seam together real tight. So now that I got everything lined up, I'll make sure that everything else is done. So I'm going to add another clamp here, and this is where I start doing some final adjustments. I'm going to add the neck call clamp here. What's nice is this pulls the fretboard really close into the neck. The clamps themselves hold kind of the center of the board, but don't do a great job in that outward pressure on the ends of the fretboard. So these clamps really pull down nicely. So I've got 4 of them, and I'm going to use 4 of them along with other clamps. So now I've got a clamp that sits on the side, and here you go. Here's how it is all clamped up. You can see the glue kind of pushes out. And then we'll go ahead, let this sit for 24 hours, and then come back and start to unclamp everything. What's nice is these clamps from StewMac, they don't stick. They have nice material where nothing sticks to them. And kind of here's the cleanup that needs to be done now. The glue's kind of foamed out everywhere, filled some of the little holes. It's looking pretty clean. So I get a old chisel and just start to kind of scrape away and push some of that glue that's all hardened out, so I don't have to do as much sanding. I'll just get some 400 grit sandpaper here and sand off the glue. I know I'm going to take off the finish here, not fully, but little bits as I finish. So then after it's sanded, I've got this Wonder Fill from Rockler, and I'm going to place this over where the crack was and then along the sides of the fretboard. So we're going to apply this pretty thick, make sure it's sitting everywhere. I'm going to run my finger up and down against the fretboard, make sure any of the cracking from the lacquer is now filled. We'll just let this sit for 24 hours then. This is what it looks like all done. Looks pretty good. And then you just take, again, 400 grit sandpaper and clean it up. And really doesn't require that much sanding. You can see how easy that sanded off. It's a terrible video, bad camera angle, sorry about that. And then where any glue kind of got messed up on the fretboard, I just take a razor blade and scrape the fretboard to clean it up. So now we're all glued, we're filled, and we're going to go ahead and spray it next, and that'll be in part 2. Can't do any spraying here, it's the winter now. But this looks really nice, came out really well, really happy with the way this looks. Can't feel anything when you run your finger against it. And so as we hit spring, we'll go ahead and spray and clean this up. Thanks guys.